Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to another interview, this time with a singer of some smaller bands like The Casting Out, I Am Heresy, maybe boysetsfire, and of course the solo project,
Yeah.
Mr. Nathan Gray. Um,
Hi, how are you?
yeah, thank you for being on this little special interview.
Mhm.
Um, so you since this interview will be released in the week between Christmas and New Year, your new album is fortunately out already after the delay.
It, yeah,
Um,
it actually comes out December 17th. Well, I'm sorry,
yeah,
what were you saying?
yeah, it's out
Were
December
you just saying
17th.
that?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry. My
no,
my
so
hearing my hearing and as you can tell my voice is
yeah,
a little off right now because it's all clogged up because I have a cold.
yeah,
So
sure, no problem. So yeah, the album is out now. You can listen to it on Spotify, whatever you want to, and you can hopefully, maybe not, pre-order or order the vinyl still via Entits Records
Mhm.
and Deathwish in the UK, in the US.
Actually, it's all sold out on Death Wish,
Oh, it's also out.
but
Okay.
but you can still get the pink and the purple variants of the vinyl through End Hits.
Yeah. So go check
Mhm.
the description if you want to, and maybe it's
Mhm.
all sold out already
Who
for Christmas
knows? We'll
gifts.
see.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should definitely get it. So, but as of now, you've just come, or well, it's already been 3 weeks since your tour with Frank Turner, and
Yes.
now you had some solo dates as well.
Mhm.
How was playing venues with COVID still around and still going wild?
It was honestly not that bad only because we were with a team that knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Frank's Turner's team was amazing with everything. They were number one. They made sure that the all the clubs mandated vaccines, all that kind of stuff, and we wore masks most of the time. Obviously, when you're singing, you can't wear them, but
Yeah.
most of the time. And then also, we would take. They had just a handful of rapid tests, so every 2 days we would take tests and just like make sure that no one came into the backstage room, make
Yeah.
sure everything. You know what I mean? Whatever we had to do to keep it as safe as possible. Obviously, nothing's foolproof,
Yeah.
but with all of us vaccinated, I think that's the big deal. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
long as we're vaccinated and taking care of ourselves, we were able to get through it with no one getting it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And
Mhm.
I can imagine it felt great being in front of hundreds
Oh,
of thousands of
yeah,
people and
yeah,
performing your album or songs of your album for the first time live. How's that
yeah.
been?
It was great, and it was an interesting situation because we were asked to play acoustically,
Mhm.
which normally with this project, I I did feral hymns and all that where I did acoustic, but now I've sort of forgotten how to play acoustically because
Yeah.
everything's so fast and loud and fun. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I had my bass player Michael switch to playing guitar on acoustic, and then Phil, who plays lead guitar, still played his leads, but sort of quieter and threw some more
Okay.
effects. And then we had our friend Becky there doing backups with me, and it actually came out great. It
Okay.
wasn't like your usual acoustic situation. We played like a full band, like jumping around, having a great time. It was exciting. It was
Okay.
really nice.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds amazing. So
yeah,
you already talked about your new band, the Iron Roses. How did that
yes.
come to be? So because for Feral Hymns you
Uh,
were alone and now a band?
right. And it was actually very purposeful. So coming from feral hymns, I had to start in a certain way. I was speaking on very deep, personal, dark situations that I needed to get through before I could really move on.
Yeah.
And that needs to be done alone. You know what I mean? You can't
Yeah.
really do that with a bunch of other people. So I got through that and through that healing and went on to that album right behind you, working title. And that was where I realized that where I was going with this.
Hmm.
Working title. It's very much in the vein of like the casting out, melodic punk, fun songs. that go through sort of the ups and downs of life. And once I was able to realize that life could have ups and downs and they weren't so depressing and dark and everything,
Yeah.
before I was able, I we come to Rebel Songs. And in defining what Rebel Songs was and where I was going with this album and the future, it became very obvious that it wasn't going to be just this another solo, like me and a guitar playing sort of country-ish music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I come from a punk background. Like my two favorite bands in the world are Bad Religion and The Clash. So I'm not going to get away with, like not doing
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
So it was time to jump back in and to form a band that could do exactly what I needed to be done for what I wanted to do. And that's how the Iron Roses came around. As a full band, I felt like just calling it Nathan Gray wasn't really, number one, it would be
Yeah.
weird getting on stage with a bunch of people and going, we're Nathan Gray. Or
you. Yeah.
all of us are.
Yes.
And I also sort of felt bad for like touring musicians. Like people would be like, oh, what band are you in? And they'd be like, Nathan Gray.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah.
They didn't have anything. I wanted to give them ownership over what they were doing. You know what I mean? So adding in Nathan Gray and the Iron Roses, it's still my project, but it gives them something to be a part of. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but for the European side, you would have other musicians then, or like Norbert Buchmacher on the last tour, or would you bring them along?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in Europe, until I can afford to start bringing people over,
Yeah.
I think normally you'll probably see the Norbert Buchmacher guys and my friend Ben Christo, who always plays guitar with me. So you'll probably see those guys for a while. And maybe even once I start bringing some of my usual touring group with me, they are all part of this as well. Like anybody that plays in this band is an Iron Rose, which I got that title from the symbol that I use a lot. That's sort of like the iron front symbol, but with
The
roses.
3 roses. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was combining two very important anti-fascist symbols. One being the iron front, and the other being the white roses and Sophie Scholl, as I'm sure many Germans know.
Yeah, of course.
She and her group, the White Roses, are a big inspiration to me. And I think that we need to realize that fascism isn't combated in one way. Obviously the Iron Front was a very militaristic, violent group, that had to fight in violent means against violent men. Whereas the White Roses was a very peaceful action against fascism. And I think both of those are valid. I think that we need to realize that there is no one way. There is discernment on how you fight it depending on the situation you're in, but we must always fight against fascist forces. And no matter how we end up doing that, the important part is that we do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very evident on Rebel Songs.
Yeah, thank you.
It's as you said before, it's your most political album in recent history. And that's why I want to talk about two events that definitely influenced Rebel Songs. The first is the 25th of May 2020, the death of George Floyd, which is very openly talked about in Don't Wait Up.
Yes.
Did you write that song directly afterwards, or did you? Okay.
It was literally about one of my own situations where after the death, the murder.
Yeah, it's the murder of George Floyd. Yeah,
the murder of George Floyd. How helpless I felt in that situation, but something very positive happened in this. In that I was sort of like lashing out about this and how angry and hopeless I felt in the area I live. And a friend of mine got in touch and was like, hey, there's a group, a group connected with Black Lives Matter called Cecil Solidarity in Elkton, Maryland. You should get in touch with them. They're doing protests. They're getting out in the street. They're, basically telling me, hey, don't just bitch about it. Get out there, do something. There's people in your town. And I was so excited. I was like, are you kidding me? Really? And I went and looked, and this group, I did an interview not that long ago on my own page with my friend Christine, who runs this
Yeah.
organization, and she's wonderful. But I remember the first protest, and that was exactly what this song was about. That feeling of I'm out here, I'm doing
Yeah.
something, I'm not just talking about it, I'm making a difference, and I don't ever want to come back
Yeah.
in. You know,
That
I
you will
was
be the first
I
in
was
line. Literally.
yes, and I was thinking I was thinking about how many people, they get upset, they get inspired to go do this, and then they quickly give up, or they quickly forget and they move on with their lives.
Yeah.
And that was another analogy about that song. Not only to be the first in line out in the streets, but don't wait up for me. I'm going to be out here for a very long time, as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And that's why I've become an advocate in my hometown with Cecil Solidarity, not just out in the streets. I go to school board meetings. I speak with government officials in this area with Cecil Solidarity to make a difference, because we can never let up.
Yeah.
And it's too easy to allow it to be a fad, to be a trend, and then get bored of it. People who are directly affected, like George Floyd, like other Black people in our communities, don't have the luxury of giving up. They
Yeah.
don't have the luxury of feeling like, oh, well, back to work, you know? So it's very important, especially for people who look like me,
Yeah.
to get involved
Yeah.
and to stand up.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And yeah, as I said, don't wait up.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome song. It's very hopeful, though it shares, especially in the first verse, it shows that
Yes.
that anger, that passion to change something, and yeah, to be the first in line, and no one should
Yes.
wait for you to come back until it's fixed.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
right. That's right.
the second event is the 6th of January 2021,
Mm-hmm.
the storming of the
Yes.
Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, how did
And
that affect you?
well, and as you can hear on Capitol Stairs
Yeah.
in Rebel songs, um, equal parts anger and sadness. Um, I think there's one thing that people do not take into account with what's going on here, and that is politicians and media's part in all of this, and affecting people to be afraid and scared, and in so lashing out with hatred and anger.
Yeah.
We do not do enough to help people who are ignorant, honestly. We don't. We play to their ignorance because we want their money. We want them to do stupid shit like
Yeah.
on that day.
Yeah.
That's Politicians want people to do that. They want you to be stupid. They want you to be ignorant. They want you to storm the Capitol like a maniac,
Yeah.
because it helps them. It doesn't help you. They don't care about you. And so I it's a hard place to be, because I love human beings. And I don't want to say that everybody that was there that day that did something so stupid are terrible people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're
Like,
misled,
they
basically.
are. They're absolutely
Yeah.
misled. And we need to do better to reach out to those people instead of making fun of them all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we fall into a lot. Oh, look at these dumb rednecks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Of course. Yeah.
Well, those dumb rednecks have been getting a steady diet of fear and anger
Yeah.
for 4 years of Trump.
Yeah.
You know, and even before that, when Obama was president, you had these the Tea Party and all these right wing groups that were feeding them, oh, there's a black president, he's coming for you, type of crap. You know, and you have people who don't realize they feel powerless because they've been told to feel powerless, even though their white skin affords them a lot of power.
Yeah.
You know, so they are set up to be martyrs. They're set up to feel like they're being stepped on when someone else gets some rights. You know,
Yeah.
so it's difficult, because in that song, it's sort of like a, hey, you sort of fucked up there, buddy, huh? You know what I mean? Not so much of a, screw you, you're a traitor and should go to jail. You know what I mean? I struggle, with it
Yeah,
because there should be consequences to it and people should get in trouble for it. But
definitely. Yeah.
there should be real rehabilitation in this situation. There
Mhm.
should be love. There should be care and concern for human beings who've been used as weapons.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's a hard it's a
definitely.
hard
Yeah.
topic,
Yeah. And you can't.
and I really
Yeah.
loathe politicians and media sources that use these people
Yeah.
to do the atrociously stupid crap they did that day.
Yeah. Yeah. There might be a core of people that were stupid assholes that went there,
Hmm.
but there are
Hmm.
also people scared of what's happening to
Yeah.
the country, even though
Hmm.
it's maybe a good change, because something like that also happened in Germany. Something
Right. And
similar.
those are the people we have to reach, like
Yeah.
the people who were scared into voting for AFD,
Yeah.
mostly a lot in East Germany. You
Yeah.
had a lot of fear over there,
Yeah.
and and I think it's important that we learn discernment. There are absolutely some people that are just lost.
Yeah. There
You're
are some
not going to
fascists
talk to
out
them. You know
there.
what I mean? Right. It's just there's nothing doing. You have to fight them.
Yeah.
But you have to learn the discernment between those people and the people they influence, you
For
know?
sure. Yeah.
And we need to be the positive influence that they see, you know, because the right wing have no joy. They have no love. They have no kindness. All they have is fear. So if we can reach in, so they attract broken people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we can reach those broken people with love and care and prove that they're worth something, they're worth more than their anger, they're worth more than their hatred, maybe we have an opportunity to change some hearts,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's even if we can change one guy, that's
Yes,
that's already a win
without a doubt.
for the good, because yeah, it's horrible. These people, they they live in fear, they live in anger, and
Yeah,
one
because
has to
they
reach
don't
out.
look out I've talked to a couple of people who are just so lost in their anger and like this is happening and they're taking over the country. I was like, man, look outside your window real quick.
Yeah.
What do you see going on out there?
Who's taking your
Let's
job?
go take a walk around our community.
Yeah.
Nothing but smiles. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
No one's taken over. Nothing's going crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like in Germany for a very long time. It was like, oh, the immigrants and the refugees are taking over. They're doing this. Really?
Yeah.
I've been to Germany. It's fine.
Yeah. It's no war zone.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in things that we don't literally see with our eyes, and it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
we
But
just have to show people the truth and
yeah.
show them how much love is surrounding them.
Yeah. And I think a great way to do this, coming back to your profession, is with
Mhm.
music. So
Absolutely.
with Rebel Songs, the title track of the album, you sing, music is not a product you sell, it's a reason you believe. It's a movement to save yourself.
Mhm.
So yeah, we have
Yes.
that in Rebel Songs directly.
Yes, it's probably one of my favorite lyrics I've written in a while. I When I play it live, I get a little choked up, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like because it's so true. That you see it all the time. People are just selling a product, you know? And obviously you have to sell your
Yeah.
music. You know, we need money to live, we need to
Yeah.
survive. But at the same time, that can't be the only reason you're doing music.
Yeah.
Music is too important to be like a McDonald's cheeseburger, you know?
Yeah.
It needs to be something more. It needs to reach people. It needs to touch people because I think we all have a story where music has personally touched us or saved our lives. Times where we were at our lowest, where we were hurting so badly, and someone wrote a song. We didn't know them, they didn't know us. Total stranger wrote a song that saved your life.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. That's how powerful music is.
Yeah.
And so if we can take that and we can make the political personal and the personal political, and we can make our social commentary, our political commentary, not about hate, not boring, not a bunch of white guys in suits.
Yeah.
People who believe in something more than basic politics. Politics are bullshit. Politics are boring. Revolution, change, rebellion against the hate out there. That's important because we get ourselves locked into political parties and into narratives instead of realizing that love, hope, and kindness are the political change we need right now. So until we are able to change ourselves and then walk out into our communities, talk to our neighbors, become friends, create that change within our communities, which then stems out into our cities, our states, our countries, our world, we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, that's for
And
sure.
music is how I do that. Go
Yeah,
on tour, play on different stages, and when I play a show now, it is a ministry. Excuse this phrase. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like I had someone come up to me. It was like I feel like I was at a secular revival. You know what I mean? Like I was like, that's exactly it.
yeah,
That's exactly what I want because people need that in their life.
yeah,
That energy, that emotion, that love, and that kindness without being told, well, you don't get that kindness unless you believe in some
yeah,
weird thing up here,
for
you
sure. Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So instead of that, why can't it be a humanist, revival? Why can't it be? Why can't we create that same energy, that same feeling, that same love, that same kindness, just because that's what we want to see in the world,
yeah,
you know? So we get up on stage, we laugh, we cry, we talk, we, interact with people, hug, and, just make it as much of a ministry over just another show as we possibly can,
yeah,
because we really are there to reach hearts and minds.
yeah. I think that's
Your
something.
soul you can keep. I don't know what that is. So
Yeah, that's something everyone that ever saw you or boysetsfire or any other of
mm,
your band live, I think everyone can confirm that you not just you are not just there to play music and then go off stage. You're there to,
yes,
yeah, bring
thank
hope
you,
to the people.
thank you.
And yeah, so with Rebel Songs, you also got another very vocal, very political artist with Tim McIlrath
Hmm.
from Rise
Hmm.
Against. Uh,
Yes.
how did that come together?
Uh, I have known Tim for decades. It's funny because one of Boy Sets Fire's first tours after the Eulogy came out, I think it was, we were on the road and with several bands. It was us, Thursday, a couple other bands, and there was this unknown opener band on that tour. Nobody really listened to them. Nobody really knew who they were. It was Rise Against.
Yeah, small
We did
small
like
little
a,
band.
yeah, small tiny little band. Nobody, I think they'd put something, or they were about to put something out on Fat Records. It's just like nobody really knew who they were.
Yeah,
And it's funny that I've just known them ever since then. But it was just great to watch them blow up from that. You
yeah,
know, like they're a great band, and it was awesome watching them play every night. But like, I have no idea who these people are. What is this band?
yeah.
Like, and so it's been awesome. So when I got in touch with him, they were about to release the Nowhere Generation
Mhm.
album, and he put in the time to do this, and I have all the respect and love in the world for him because I know what it's like when you're about to release an album.
Yeah,
It's busy and you
it's
do not have time to do stuff like
for sure.
this,
Yeah,
but he did it anyway, and I am very grateful to him for
yeah,
doing that.
yeah. It really works well with you and Tim and
Mhm.
the whole song. It's just full of energy, and the whole album actually is full of energy. It's a
Thank you.
I maybe would say it's your most hopeful or
Yes.
moving forward album from Feral
Hmm.
Hymns, which was very, as you said before, self-centered and very
Yes.
trying to overcome your past, to Working
Hmm.
Title, which still was about you and the people around you, but more
Hmm.
optimistic. And now, yeah,
Hmm.
Rebel Songs, fight
Yeah.
the shit that's out there.
Yes. And this is where I will be going from here. This is my path forward. It is a joyful take on the political is personal and the personal is political. And I want to create something new because I think people need it. They don't just need angry music anymore. They need something positive. They need what I heard in the Clash when I first heard them. You know, I was I almost gave up on punk rock when I heard the Sex Pistols. It bummed me out,
Okay.
honestly. I heard the Sex Pistols when I was young. I was like, this is punk.
Yeah.
They're just mad. Who gives a shit? Like they
Yeah.
don't care. They're just mad. That's all the song's about. They're just pissed off. Then, whew, that first Clash album. I how old was I? I can't, maybe 11, maybe 12, something like that. And I rented it from a library because it looked cool, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And I heard that it was punk rock, and I was like, I'm gonna try this one more time. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
punk rock thing, because
One
I
last
like
chance.
the catchy, fun shit about punk rock. But like the Sex Pistols were just like, ugh. Like just I didn't get it. Like why they're
Yeah.
so pissed but didn't want to do anything about it. You know?
Yeah.
Um, and that album came on, and Joe Strummer's voice and that passion and the reggae shit in there that brought such a joy to what they were doing.
Yeah.
Pardon
No, sure, no
me.
problem.
But and that hopefulness of what they were saying. It's like, look at what's going on out here. Let's go get them.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go do this. Let's make this different. And that was when I fell in love with punk rock. I like immediately, like I wanted to reach through that tape when there were cassette tapes back in it and just give Joe
Yeah.
Strummer a huge hug. You know what I mean? Because he reaffirmed my belief in punk rock
Yeah.
and why it was important. You know, so that's what was one of my impetuses with this album, is looking back to what made me believe in punk rock, and and then using that to move forward with my music. Obviously, melodic punk rock is a thing I do a lot, you know,
Yeah.
but but even in music, I was like, how can I step it up? How can I do something different?
Yeah.
Well, let me look back at my inspirations. They got into reggae music, which I really love. And then I was like, well, why not fuck around with some hip hop? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I love hip hop music. I've never worked with it before. Why not? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I know a lot of artists within hip hop that make me feel joyful. So why don't I get into some stuff that's going to add some joy and bounce and, like, you know, creativity to what
Yeah.
I do? So two of the biggest influences on this album was the reggae artist Toots and the Maytall. He actually passed away recently,
Okay.
and Bob Marley as well, because they both had very political ideas, but they were very personally political, and there was so much joy in what they had to say. Then looking past that to some of my hip hop artists that I really enjoy, there's an artist right now called Toby Nwigwe. He's a Nigerian artist, and his last name is spelled Nwigwe,
Mm-hmm.
Tobe. So please look him up if you
Yeah.
get the chance.
You can find a link
It just
down below.
there's just a bubbling of hope from everything he does.
Yeah.
And there's anger in there, and there's all this like politics and different things. But at the same time, you can tell that he's not just given into that anger. This is what we're doing. Let's do this
Yeah.
type of shit, you know? Love it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to incorporate that into my own brand of punk rock, which is, like I said, very the casting out style punk rock,
Yeah.
you know? And that was my path forward. At that moment, that music and those politics and those social beliefs and all that just came together so perfectly. And I was like, this is what I need. This is what people need out there. They need this joyful rebellion, because the biggest rebellion we can do right now is to choose love and kindness and compassion and change over this hate and bullshit going on right now.
Yeah.
All of this going on right now. There's nothing revolutionary in these politics. There's nothing revolutionary in hating people. There's nothing revolutionary in bigotry. There is something revolutionary in love and compassion and kindness and hope. That is what revolution stems from.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what Rebel Songs is all about.
Obviously, yeah. And it has, so you have your first rap song on there, kinda, with Radio
Yeah,
Silence.
yeah.
That was the thing that struck me the most. It was like, is he rapping now?
I love that song. Yeah.
It's a great song. it's really something else. And then you have
Mhm.
a feature with another rapper, with Eugenius.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm. Who also plays guitar in the Iron Roses.
so that's very great. That
Yeah.
that worked together so well.
And he was also my friend who I checked Radio Silence and Grace and stuff like that with. I went, please let me know if I'm in over my head. You know what I mean? I didn't want to sound like an asshole. Like
Yeah,
I just, am I doing this right? He was like, yeah, you're good. Keep
yeah,
going. I was like, okay, all right, that's all I need.
yeah,
I'm gonna do this. Like,
yeah. It's so refreshing, the whole album, that it's not just another casting out. It's not another Boy Sets Fire. It's, yeah, it's
mhm,
you. It's
thank you.
it's your music now, and
Mhm.
obviously I love Boy Sets Fire, but it's also always
Sure.
very great to see an artist I really like coming up with something new, and Rebel
Mhm.
Songs really is something new, and
Thank you so
everyone
much.
should listen to that.
That means
And
a lot to me. Thank you.
um, so yeah, we talked about Eugenius on Look Alive. So did
Mhm.
you have him already in mind when writing the
Yeah.
song?
It was funny actually. He got in touch with me not that long before I started writing this album, like a year or two ago, and must have been 2 years ago. He got in touch because he had used clips from After the Eulogy on one of his songs,
Okay.
and he just wanted to check and make sure that was cool. You know what I mean? Like, and he sent it to me, and it's an awesome song.
Okay.
And hopefully, I don't know if I could find a link to it right now, but I hopefully we can find it down the
Yeah.
road. But he used After the Eulogy in this song, and so we just started talking after that. Because obviously I was interested in hip hop and interested in getting it involved in what I was doing. And the more we talked, the more it was like, we're going to get along. This is going to work. You know what I mean? And it was funny because first I just brought him in to do that part in Look Alive and to sort of help me with my parts. And then after that, I was like, wait, you play guitar. You're joining my band. Like, you know, that's it's sort of how I've gotten everyone in the Iron Roses. It's like, you're in my band now.
Yeah.
Like,
You can't get
and they're
out
like,
now.
all right, fine.
Yeah. So, if any one of our listeners is interested, you have interviews with all your band members, with Oisey and with Brian McTernan on your Instagram. It's still
Instagram,
available.
yep.
You can check them
Mm-hmm.
out. It's very interesting. It's also quite a long interviews always. It's like always an hour, but
Yes.
it's always very
Oh, yeah.
fun.
We let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
if we have not talked about it, do you have a favorite song on the album?
I have I have several.
Oh,
If I
okay.
were to narrow it down, though, it's hard for a new
Yeah.
album. You love
It
everything.
has 12
But if
favorite
I,
songs of mine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But if I were to narrow it down, I would definitely say Radio Silence is one of my favorites because it's such a step out song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something that I was unsure of. It was like, it's it's just so much fun. I'm rapping the chorus and then the chorus goes into like this reggae sort of feel, but in a very Clash sounding
Yeah.
guitars and like, and it just like, I just love that song. It's so much fun. And I'd say Look Alive is another favorite. And Don't Wait Up, of course, is a favorite. I also, something that I don't know if will be brought up a lot from other people, but one of my favorite songs on that album also happens to be I just lost myself. Sorry.
No problem.
um, that's hilarious. I lost the very last song on the album.
um,
That said,
that's
oh
it. Yeah.
damn,
Yeah. It
that
was
said,
Grace. No, it's that's it. Yeah.
yeah. So, and it's those two songs at the end that I
Yeah.
really love about the album. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about those two songs going into each other, Grace and That Said, that it just feels like the end of an album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just like, I really love the power of that.
Yeah. You come out of them, and it not feels like there's anything missing. It feels like, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great ending, and
yeah.
yeah. Um, I think there's only one song left we've not talked about, and that's
Okay.
Million.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, can you talk us yeah, can you tell us about the story behind that?
Yeah. I think out of all of the songs I have on that album, that one's probably the most inspired by my love of Tom Petty. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
it's got a very out of any of the songs on that album, it's got a very Americana like sort of feel to it,
yeah,
and that's part of what I write. You know what I mean? That melodic punk will sometimes traverse into that world, and
yeah,
I think it's cool that I have an album that I have melodic punk, Americana, hip hop, and reggae all
yeah,
mixed together,
yeah, yeah,
Um, but Million was, I have on a lot of albums that one quintessential fight song, and Million is that song.
yeah,
That's that stand on the top of a mountain by yourself and say, I'm not moving.
yeah,
This is me. This is what's going to happen. I don't care if my chances are bad. I know this is right,
yeah,
you know? And that's that song. So it was very important to me to have a song like that on this album. And it very much reminds me of the Tom Petty song, the Stand My Ground song.
yeah,
um, and I just love it. I think it's a great song. It's a catchy song, which is always
definitely.
important to me,
Yeah, yeah, the
and
refrain. Yeah,
and yeah, got to have that chorus,
yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. But I think that people need that in music. They need that song that they can latch onto and go, this is the song that gets me motivated. This is the song that makes me remember that it doesn't matter if I'm doing this alone. It matters that I'm doing it.
yeah. Um, Coming back to Feral Hymns, especially, and then
Mm-hmm,
going to working title. On Feral Hymns, you
mm-hmm,
had many reworkings or reinterpretation of older songs, especially
mm-hmm.
of the Casting Out,
Yeah,
which many might have not known. So they were like, that's some interesting music.
right.
And neither on working title nor on Rebel songs you had these kind of reinterpretations.
Mm-hmm.
What made you choose going fully original songs on these two albums?
Just the nature in general of it. So the first album that was important and intentional to rework a couple of songs that were important to me, that fit in that realm of trying to get my shit together,
Yeah,
and just sort of, especially casting out songs that were mine, you know what I mean, that were like me and should be under my name, you know. I just wanted to take them back and really reimagine them. But past that, I had no reason to reimagine anymore. It was time to move on. I had done that, and it was time to move on and just fully express myself as myself.
yeah, yeah. It really worked out well on Feral Hymns, and then looking
Thank
forward
you.
on working title.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if any one of the listeners wants to know more about some songs on Feral Hymns, you've recorded two live albums, one in
Yes.
Wiesbaden and one in Iserlohn, where you talk
Yep.
about some of the stories behind the
Mm-hmm.
lyrics, which
I
are
am so glad I
pretty
have that,
interesting.
by the way.
Yeah,
That double album. It was really funny because when End Hits pitched that idea to me, I was like, nobody wants to hear a live album.
yeah,
Ugh, like, why? Why would I do that?
yeah,
And it was insane. Like, it came out almost immediately, sold out the first pressing. Like, and then I started going back and listening to it. I was like, wait, this is an important part of my story.
yeah,
I'm so grateful to End Hits and Oisey for forcing me to do that,
yeah,
because I wouldn't have done it otherwise. And now we have this time capsule, you know, of the storyline that's leading us all on to working title,
yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah, and it really helps to understand where you come from and
Yeah.
why the songs on Feral Hymns are as important as they are.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and there's one other release that will get overlooked very often, probably. It's the split EP with Jesse.
Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah.
actually one of my favorite releases.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah, unfortunately, not many people know about this, but
Hmm.
yeah, can you tell us about the three songs you included there?
Yeah. I mean, that was an extension from Feral Hymns to include more like drums and more instruments. That was I'm glad you brought that up because I honestly would have sort of forgotten about it, even though I do love those songs. Like,
Yeah,
it's not that I don't like those songs, they're great songs. But sometimes I forget about it because it was such a transitional EP
yeah,
from Feral Hymns to Working Title that it gets lost a lot of times.
yeah,
But they are very important songs because they bridge the gap between Feral Hymns and Working Title,
yeah,
you know, in how the music evolved a little bit. It's still in that sort of self um, inner looking, like depressed, feeling lost way. But at the same time, you do get some vibes that something's coming. You know what I mean? That
yeah.
there's something waking up.
There's a light at the end
So
of the tunnel. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay. So in the end, you have to choose between two options I give you.
Oh no.
So the first one is writing and recording music or touring.
Oh, touring, easy. That wasn't a hard one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
easy one. Um,
yeah. That personal relationship during the tour is way better than recording. Yeah,
yeah, either play the same songs live for 10 years and having the fun and feeling the people, and then
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
like you're doing with boysetsfire. Give me a new album.
yeah. Right. I
um,
can't promise that. Sorry.
yeah, I know. Next one, maybe another easy one: vinyl or CD.
I would go vinyl, and I would go vinyl because bigger artwork. I really appreciate being able to open up an album, right? As you see
Yeah,
back there, opening it up, being able to read the lyrics and not have to squint, like
yeah,
sometimes you can get like posters, and not only that, but cool looking like colored vinyl, even if it's just to look at while it's spinning on your turntable. It's just
yeah,
cool. There's something about the art of it
yeah,
that really means something a little bit more to me than a CD.
yeah. Club show or arena, because you can basically do both.
Oh yeah. Uh, that's actually a hard one because they're both important, and they're both something that an artist must learn to play correctly. You know,
Yeah,
um, like you have to be comfortable in both scenarios. If you're not, people will notice.
yeah,
Some people, when they get out on that huge arena stage, all of a sudden they feel very small, and they're like, "Fuck, what do I do?"
yeah,
Uh, and then the same, like people that are used to that, they get into a club and they think that they've somehow failed, you know?
yeah,
And my take is always, whether I'm playing to 3 people or 3,000, I put on the same show every time.
yeah,
And that is important to me. Now, that's a hard one because it does depend on the situation.
yeah.
Like, because festivals, you want that big, huge stage. You know what I mean?
Obviously, yeah,
But club shows are also very important because you get so much up closer with
yeah,
people. So I think that, like, there's something to be said for both. If I were to have to pick at the end of the day, I'd probably go with the club show because you can have a big club show. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, it doesn't have to be 100 people. It could be 3,000 people in a club. But I'd have to go with that just because you got a little bit more of that squished up feel and everyone's involved.
Yeah, the energy's pumping, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the next one is Cologne or Wiesbaden.
Oh, why do you hate me?
Yeah,
Damn
that's a difficult one.
it. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God.
We won't tell
Oh,
anyone. We won't tell
I
anyone.
feel like everyone's gonna know. This is gonna be bad. Because as you know, as anyone with eyes knows, those two spots are huge for me.
Yeah.
Like they have been, Wiesbaden and Cologne have been home, in Germany for
Yeah.
me. So that is so difficult to choose between my babies. You know what I mean? Oh, oh. Why do you hate me?
I don't hate you. I just want to challenge you.
Right. No, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Um, by just a smidgen, just a little bit. I'm going to go with Wiesbaden.
Oh, okay.
By just a little. I mean, by a fraction. Like,
It,
but if you put a gun to my head, you just have to shoot me because
yeah,
I fucking love both spots.
yeah.
And that's difficult. I apologize to Cologne for even saying that,
Yeah.
but like, I love you both. Both areas are absolutely phenomenal. Have been there for me so fervently from the beginning that I hope no one takes offense to
Yeah.
that. Like, because I don't want to pick. He's making me. I just,
And by the way, if you want to see Nathan and Boys It's Fire live, they play 2 shows in Wiesbaden next year.
this is true.
Little
Yeah,
side plug here.
little side plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Another.
Let us hope that happens. Please go get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Please. It is killing the industry. It is killing us as artists
Yeah.
that you refuse to get vaccinated right now. I'm not even saying this as like your mean old dad, or like some government thing.
No. Yeah.
It's
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 someone that's
killing us.
dependent on
I
it.
am I am dependent on this to make a living, and
Yeah.
it is killing me right now. If you are a fan of my music, please, please, please. I understand that there are a very small fraction of people who cannot. That's
That's totally fine.
okay.
Yeah.
But please, if you can, please don't fall for this conspiracy and this hateful message out there that's trying to get you to hurt your fellow people. Please, please get vaccinated.
Yeah. So we can see this nice guy
Yes,
live once
please.
again.
Yes.
Okay, 2 left. Integrity or Dead
Yeah.
Kennedys?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I'd have to go with Dead Kennedys just because they were a bit more influential. I think Integrity's great. I've spent a really weird amount of nights with Dwid back in the day.
Not
I
going to
remember
detail that
once
much.
yeah, well, we played a festival in Cleveland, and somehow Dwid and I got really drunk and went out to a karaoke bar where the guitarist from White Lion or White Snake was running the karaoke.
What?
Yeah, and we did Every Rose Has Its Thorn, and that's pretty much what I remember of that night. But we've had some weird nights. Dwight and I talked a lot when after the Eulogy came out, and for some reason hung out a good amount, and then like we've lost touch since. But
Yeah.
I always respect what his music and stuff.
Yeah.
Super dark and evil, but
Yeah.
that's him.
On the other side,
But
it's going to
yeah, yeah,
karaoke.
right. But he's also a lot of fun. I one of the funnier Dwid stories I have was one of my friends that's in Bad Luck 13, which is also like this very like heavy dark band, saw me hanging out with Dwid and ran up to Dwid and was like, "Oh, it's fucking cool to meet you." Obviously, Integrity was an inspiration to them, and he asked Dwid what his favorite band was, and Dwid, without skipping a beat, said, "Definitely ABBA," and just broke his heart. It was amazing. Like he was like, "Really? Oh, okay," and just sort of wandered off in a daze.
Waterloo,
But
it's my favorite song of them all.
right.
Oh.
But I'd have to pick Dead Kennedys because they were absolutely more influential in my music, in my lyrics, in my and everything I do. Jello Biafra was a huge influence.
Okay. And one last thing, because I'm following your Instagram actively. Skateboard or baseball?
Oh, skateboard! Come on.
Okay. That was
Yeah.
not a hard one.
No, too easy. I do enjoy watching baseball, but skateboarding is my jam. I
Yeah.
love skating. Yeah, I love everything about it and have since I was a kid.
Yeah, and now you're getting into it again.
Yes,
Hopefully
and it's been
without too many
great. Like,
crashes.
yeah, after many decades of not getting on a board, I finally set one up, and now I can't stop.
Yeah.
It's just, but I keep it simple now. I just skate curbs and stuff like that. I don't do big ramps or anything crazy like that.
Ooh, yeah.
I know my limits.
So the
I
next
just have fun,
Nathan Gray album will be a skate punk album.
without a doubt. Yep.
Okay, then. That's it. That's all my questions. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for taking your time, and
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.